Hey, club members and participants today, if you guys could gather up a little bit here where you can hear from the speaker. And welcome all you guys to the annual air show, swap meet, and cookout. And I guarantee you it's going to be good. It's good so far. Weather is better than advertised, so have a good time. Okay, something really important.
We have twice a year.
A few weeks ago,
we have one.
A longtime member of our club who meant a lot to us, Verlin Boder, died. He passed away, and after a long illness. And at our board meeting,
free water
we
pop over there if you want.
Discussed ways to honor him because that guy worked harder out here than anybody ever. So we decided to name the field after him. And we took the idea to the meeting. General membership meeting, and we got a unanimous vote on it. So this is now Verlin Boder Memorial Field. So the memory will still be here, and I mean, that guy would be out here working when nobody knew he was out here working. He'd be raking, cleaning the field, watering the plants out there, fixing the fence, you name it. He was just doing it, and he never let anybody know he was out here doing it. I come out here a time or two to see what was going on, and he'd be out here just doing something. I mean, that's just what he did. And I hear he was that way at the church he went to. That he was in there straightening pews, doing this, doing that, and nobody ever asked him to, and he never told anybody he was doing it. That's just the way he was. So, quite an honor to be able to name the field after him. So we're going to get started here with our air show. And I'm not sure exactly how it's going. I'll turn this over to Sid so he knows the order of what's going to happen here. But thank you guys all for showing up. We got a great crowd. Here we go.
Thank you very much. Again, welcome to the East Valley Aviators Air Show. We're doing this on an annual basis, and it's kind of a fun fly for the members and kind of an exposure of all the types of things we do here at the field. You know, one thing too, and the comment to Verlin, if you take a look around at all the fencing at the flight stations, at the pits, and at the deadlines, that's all pretty much Verlin. He had the truck and the tools and the posts, and he did all that, and we helped him put that in. But we're probably one of the safest fields in the valley as far as a RC club, primarily because of all the safety of the fencing, and it's almost indestructible. So again, thanks to Verlin for all he did for us. And every time you go to a flight station, you're behind that safety fence. Think of Verlin. So we're going to do several things this morning.
And we are going to be making signs.
Yes, someone asked about signs. We'll be making some signs to commemorate that. We'll probably get some ideas from several people and kind of bring that to the membership. We'll take a look at what we can do as far as putting up some signs for his honor. So today we're going to demonstrate various aspects of our hobby. At East Valley Aviators, we are very lucky to have a fairly wide space to deal with. We've got our main airfield, which is 646 feet long and 100 feet wide. And any member can fly anything out there. Small planes, big planes, helicopters fly off Station 5, and that's kind of our carry-all, do-all for everything. We are also very fortunate to have an area dedicated for electric planes. I don't think there's another RC club in the valley which has an area strictly for electrics. And electrics are becoming an increasingly important part of our hobby. As motors get smaller and more powerful and more efficient, and batteries get smaller and more powerful and more efficient, more and more airplanes are converting to electric. So that's an important part of our field, and something we're going to continue to concentrate on and make sure in the future we put the information and activity in that area. We also, of course, have the car track. And I was over the other day watching some of the guys race some cars, and I was probably hooting and hollering and yelling and more than the guys who were racing it. It was just a lot of fun to watch them. Cars were screaming around, incredibly powerful, bouncing over each other, doing wheelies, crashing, popping back up onto the wheels, taking off again. So if you don't race cars, it's still worth your time maybe to go over there when the guys are racing and catch them and have some fun watching them race. And of course, drones are becoming an important part of our hobby. And we have a field area where we're dedicating to drones, which is basically over by the electric field facing south. So all the drones fly basically over the desert, away from the airspace for everybody else. So we're fortunate that we can keep various parts of our hobby and various parts of the field, and so that we can all fly at the same time and not get in each other's way and fly safely. So this morning, we're going to do several things. The agenda is basically we're going to start off with some flying wings. Jack and Steve are going to talk about that. And hopefully Jack is here with the cars, and he's going to show us something about some of the race cars, and we'll make sure we can watch his table while he's out here demonstrating some cars to us. And Jacques Tejas is going to show us an IMAC demo on one of the larger planes as far as the competition. And did anybody want to race T-28s this morning? We kind of left that open. If you wanted to bring a T-28 race, we're willing to do that. So if anybody does have T-28s they'd like to race, you just come see us and we'll stick that in the agenda. Andy, over from, and the electric field, he'll be up in a minute. And then I'm going to do a pattern demo. Will Adams is going to talk about drones. He'll have a video screen over there so he can get the first person view of what he's seeing when he's racing the drones. Plus he'll have some goggles that you can pass around and take a look at the goggles. And if you do have a chance to look at those goggles, make sure you're sitting down. And you'll notice that all the drone pilots who fly with goggles sit down because you can easily get disoriented in watching that video. We also have hats and shirts. Floyd's around here with hats and shirts back on the table. Great deal today. I'm sure if you wanted to buy multiple copies, you could talk him into a quantity discount. So talk to Floyd if you'd like to get some information on buying a hat or a t-shirt. And then we'll close out the demonstration this morning with a freestyle demo by Caden. And I think most of you know who Caden is. He's a little red-haired guy that flies better than anybody in the club. He's an incredible flyer. He's won national honors in both freestyle and in pattern, or rather in IMAC.
Also world champion.
He's also world champion in IMAC in his division. The first year he started flying competition was in basic. He won the district. The second year he moved up to sportsman. He won the district. The third year he flew, he moved up to intermediate. He won the district. This year he moved up to advanced. He's won the first 2 contests he's entered. So he's probably on his way to entering the advanced version of IMAC competition this year. So a great flyer, a lot of fun to watch. Great kid, and we're very proud and honored to have him a part of our club. So let's get started. Steve and Jack, could you come on over and talk a little bit about some of the flying wings and what we're doing with those?
Hi, I'm Steve Wingerson. This is Jack Swan. And these are CNC. Gives you the cutout wood for the motor mount, and all for 15 bucks plus shipping. They're just fan fold house foam, and then they're covered with packing tape. And they have a cheap motor, 2200 kV motor, 40 amp speed control, 2 cheap $5 servos, so they're pretty cheap to run. Most expensive part's the battery pack. It's a 2200 battery pack, 3-cell, and they go like mad. They're easy to fly. Just the hardest part is learning how to launch them. If you don't launch them right, they go right in the dirt. And then,
how do you know that? Is that from experience?
Then you can see the wings go small too. This is a Hacker. It's called a hot wing. It uses a little 3000 kV motor and a little prop and a 2-cell 4500 or 450 milliamp battery pack. And the battery costs $2. But these go pretty good too. These aren't for somebody that's just beginning because they're pretty hard to fly. But we'll get battery in one and we'll take them up.
You will also notice they're only arming their electric planes at the flight station. We keep reminding everybody, please, please arm your planes at the flight station. What do you think about that, huh? The great things about these is no assembly required. You just basically pull it out of your back seat, throw in a battery, and you're flying. So they're fun that way. Thanks again. Let's hear it from Jack and Steve. Next up, Jack, are you available to talk about cars a little bit? Looks like he's got a customer. Okay, he's coming out. Again, we have quite a few members that enjoy the car track over there. They put a lot of work into putting down carpet and building a track. Just recently we moved the shade structure so it actually functioned and kept them in the shade when we're out there racing in the morning. So it's a nice facility, a lot of fun. Again, even if you're not a car racer, it's fun to go over and watch the guys because they have a great time and you'll have a lot of fun watching them as well. And Jack is a long-time member of the club. He's with us a long time, been a previous officer, and pretty much has seen it all out here. So, Jack?
Right. Yep. Unfortunately, I do it all. Anyway, the cars have been really an exciting part of the hobby. They don't care if it's windy or not. You know, so you're not restricted. And what we've turned this into now is that we have about 8-10 guys that race. We usually have about 6 or 7, maybe 8, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I only come out on Monday. The power that they have now is unbelievable. You think airplanes do 3D, you ought to see these cars fly. I mean, they like that. It's amazing the abuse that they take. Driving them out around is, after 10 minutes, there's no excitement anymore. But when you race, when you compete with somebody else and you're trying to beat them and keep up with them, it's a lot of fun and you get addicted to it. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday is usually when the guys come out. If anybody's around and wants to come out there and take a look, I think you'll enjoy it. Just as a spectator, it's more exciting than watching an airplane go in a circle. So, okay, that's all I got to say. Thanks. Okay.
What time?
They start at usually around 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure, Jack, thank you. As I mentioned, I was over there one day this week and watched them race, and oftentimes only one car survives a race. By the time they tumble and roll off the track and bounce into each other, and sometimes if they land back on the wheels, they keep on going again. So it's a lot of fun to watch. So up next is JT. JT, are you mine? We're going to do an IMAC demo. The IMACs are the, I'll call giant scale as well. In competition, an airplane is required to be a scale representative of a full-size airplane. And a very common configuration is like the one we're going to see today, infamous Extra 330s, Edge 540s, some common names you'll hear of in full-scale aircraft. Oftentimes we refer to the aircraft as a percentage. It's a 35%er or it's a 40%er or something like that. And what that means is that the wingspan is 40% of the actual full-size aircraft. So a typical Extra 330 has about a 25 or a 26-foot wingspan. So a 40% model will have about a 10-foot wingspan. So what Jock is flying today is a 35% model. He's flying it with a PLE 120, a real powerful two-cycle engine. And again, all the engines are 2 cycles, pretty much like a souped-up lawnmower in some ways, but highly precise, very powerful, and very reliable. So we'll get that going. What I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to verbally call the sequence as he flies it, so you'll have some idea of what he's trying to do. And as Jack mentioned, sometimes it's difficult to understand what's going on. We don't really know what the pilot's trying to do, so you don't know if he did it well or not. We have a competition coming up next weekend here, the Cactus Classic. We'll probably have 30 to 35 airplanes like this flying in competition. And there will probably be a couple of people out here if you come out and take a look, tap me on the shoulder or someone else, and we can go through about the maneuvers as to what they're trying to fly, and you can judge themselves as to how well you think they did. So luckily this morning, we don't have the 21-mile-an-hour winds they forecasted for this week. I was out here yesterday and flew for a while also, and they were predicting also 20-mile-an-hour winds yesterday. It didn't occur. So the day is pretty darn nice. So we are very thankful that the wind is not blowing us away, and that the material stays on the swap meet tables, and that the barbecue won't blow away. So Jock's going to prepare to take off, and when he gets in the air, we'll start talking about the maneuvers. In competition, when you're ready to be judged, you yell out, "Enter the box." And what the judges means that it's time now to start judging the routine. So he's going to go up, basically make a trim pass, make sure everything is working as expected. Straight and level is the key across the box. All aerobatic maneuvers are straight lines and curves. And if you do those properly, they're really very pretty to watch. So he's now just getting set up. He'll go to the right end of the field and he'll come in and he'll enter the box and begin the competition. Do a turnaround. This is the typical half reverse cube at it's called. He goes through a 45, rolls, pulls a 5/8 loop back to level flight. He'll stabilize himself for level flight. He'll be ready to enter the box. His first maneuver is going to be called a shark's tooth. He entered the box, he's now in competition. He'll pull to a vertical line, roll 1.5 times, and you'll see the undercarriage. There's one, there's a half. He'll push over when he gets to the top to a 45-degree down line. And on the way down, he'll do a 2 or 4-point roll. There's 1 point, 2 points. Now he's going to pull back to level flight. When he reaches level flight, that was the end of the first maneuver. All maneuvers start and end on a level line. And he'll finish with a 90-degree roller. 1 full roll and a 90-degree turn. There's a half roll and a full roll and a finish of a 90-degree turn, and he's out of the box, and the maneuver is complete and the sequence is complete. So now every maneuver starts out with a value of 10. And every small error you see is a half point or a 1-point deduction. And we add all those up and you'll get the entire score for the 10 maneuvers he flew in that sequence. Every successful flight has a landing, and there was one, so let's hear it for JT. That's one thing with this sport, everything that goes up has to come down. So Andy, if you want to come on up and let's stage some of the electric flyers and what we're going to do there.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name's Andy. What we're going to do this morning is show you what you can do with just stuff you have laying around. I think we got one airplane over there that's a whole $1.98. And then all the pieces that we put on it is out of the boxes that we all have laying around, the good stuff. So we're going to fly the first one. It's called a pizza box. And it's actually was designed by my friend over here, Keith. And he said that we could not get it to fly. Well, I got it to fly. And he got his to fly. And now I'm working on real pizza boxes. And behind me here we have Pete, and he's going to fly what we call a W. And it's just a great little airplane, and you'll see what it can do. So let's go play.
All right. I think you guys can get a kick out of knowing this one's made out of 1/4-inch insulation from Lowe's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's part of the fun of the hobby, is just kind of digging into your spare box at home and finding all those pieces that came out of other airplanes and sticking them together, and what do you know, it goes flying.
That's why you have a safety fence.
We've all done that before. See, it just kind of floats up there like a leaf as well. A lot of surface area, a lot of lift. It catches that wind, it's just like a kite. And this one's a pusher with a rear-mounted prop. And you can see too when it gets up. And the nice thing about the Flying W is you can bring it right back. You don't have to walk far to get it. What'd you think of those? Those are a lot of fun, as I mentioned, with electric motors getting smaller and more powerful and more efficient and less expensive with the same type batteries. More and more things are fun things you can do with all types of electric combinations. Okay, next up we're going to do a pattern demo, and if Doc's available, he's going to be my color. In any competition, you'll have the pilot and a caller. And a caller is probably as important as the pilot in many cases, because even though you may have practiced that sequence 1,000 times, when you get in the heat of competition and your thumb starts to shake a little bit, it's amazing what the brain forgets. And the caller is there to make sure you walk through the sequence properly. And also, many times in competition, there are two planes in the air, so the caller is also looking at the other plane, making sure the two planes don't get too close together. Remember, water pops up here in the coolers, and we'll be starting grills here in a second, so by the time we roll up, food should start to be ready.
Okay, one of the major differences in pattern to IMAC is the pattern pilot gets judged on his takeoff and landing. In IMAC, we only start judging when you're in the air and you've called in the box. He'll get to the bottom of his box, pull the inside 3/4 loop to an inverted 45 with a half roll. Technically, his sequence isn't over until he lands.
Thanks, JT. As you can see, the wind is starting to arrive. You notice some of my maneuvers were not all that pretty. I was really getting kicked around with the wind up there, so it's getting windy. One thing about pattern is that there are really two regulations for pattern. The plane wingspan cannot be larger than 2 meters, or about 78 inches, and the plane cannot weigh more than 11 pounds. In IMAC, the requirements are that the plane is a scale representation of a full-scale aircraft. It requires to have a pilot in the cockpit and an instrument panel, which is basically the arrestee that you're flying. So those are kind of the two differences in competition. Flying similar maneuvers with different types of airplanes. Another area of competition that a lot of our members participate in is scale. And they are not here today because at the AMA field, there is the Scale Masters qualification going on. So they're trying to qualify to advance to the next level of scale. So again, we have a number of pilots from EVA up there who are competing in that scale competition. We just hope that the wind is not too severe, so these planes that people have worked on building for the last 5 years are flyable, and they don't want to have any damage to them. So next up, we're going to do a drone demo. And Will Adams is going to come out and talk to us about that again. As we mentioned, drones are becoming an expanding part of our hobby and a growth part of our hobby. And we are lucky enough to have the area that we can facilitate that and provide a safe flying environment for drones, because it's a little bit of a different flying experience. Now what Will has available, you'll notice that he has goggles on. He's never looking at the drone. He's looking at a visual image projected on the goggles. We have a pair of goggles that are available, so I would encourage you to come on over. If you'd like to take a look at the goggles as to what he's seeing while he's flying it, you can take a look at that. And also, do we have a monitor available? Or?
Yeah, Hughes has one.
Is there a monitor available?
Perfect. Is there a monitor available? Yes.
It's on the table. If you'd like to come over here too, we have a monitor where you can look at the video image of what's being displayed as well. So Will?
Step over here. Sure thing. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the drone community and stuff. So here I have it's called our Madden Chameleon 6, which is a 6-inch frame. Basically what that means is I use 6-inch propellers. So I've got 4 motors here. They're 2200 kV. I also have basically a GoPro mounted on it, as well as an FPV camera, so I can see the FPV feed through my goggles. And also, this thing has a flight controller. It basically is a processor that has a gyro in it that provides stability and makes it fly good. So we do some tuning on that. We do what's called PID tuning to help it fly a little bit better. It also has a video transmitter, so it transmits the video signal off of the camera into my goggles. And I encourage you to definitely check out the monitor as well as the goggles. It gives you a really cool experience of flying.
And I'll kind of walk around with the goggles so you can take a look.
There you go.
And are they on, or do we?
They are on. So yeah, I'm going to do a demonstration, basically a freestyle demonstration, just kind of demonstrate what this thing can do. Also, we're in the process of building a new course, Southfield. So it's basically a race course that we'll be able to race around, and I definitely recommend you check it out once it's done. Thank you.
And as always, especially with FPV, since the user has goggles on, he can't see anything. It's mandatory that we have a spot. All right, we're almost there. I know we got the grill started, so Caden is now going to do a little freestyle demo for us. So Caden, are you ready to play? In freestyle, again, it looks like there's nothing planned or nothing put together. You just go up and slam the sticks together. But in freestyle competition, there are a series of maneuvers that you are judged on. And you have to complete a series of maneuvers as well, just like any other competition. Most freestyle airplanes are 35%ers. As I mentioned, this airplane is basically a 35% scale representation of the full-size airplane. So its wingspan is about probably 104 inches or something like that. He's flying with a DA-120, 120cc twin-cylinder two-cycle engine, and he does some incredible things with it. So we'll get it fired up and just sit back and enjoy it. No forward motion, right into the wind, it's just sitting there. You can see how much the wind is really good. Just watch the controls.